Hey, happy Friday, everybody. It's chamber check-in time. And today I have a super fun organization to share. It's called Global Ties Idaho. And I've got Executive Director Carol Schroeder. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Paul.
And I've got Maya Duradovic, board member. Hi, Maya.
How's it going, everyone?
Hey, I can't wait for you guys to educate us on what Global Ties is doing and the impact that it has on our community. But first, I get to thank our series sponsor for these check-ins, Maya and Carol. It's Delta Dental of Idaho. And as you both know, Delta Dental of Idaho provides best-in-class dental insurance benefits to Idahoans for over 50 years. Their benefits are designed and backed by the largest network of dentists in the country. And I have a fun video to share with you guys. You guys ready? Here we go.
Did you know that teeth are the hardest substance in the human body? I did.
It's not the femur, as I heard. It's the teeth that are the hardest substance in the body. Anyway, Carol and Maya, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time with me. Let me do a quick introduction. So Carol, for the listeners, is the executive director of Global Ties and founded the organization back in 2005. And Carol, you have been teaching history as an adjunct professor for a couple decades now. You also sit on our ambassador program. Thanks for participating in that. And Maya is also holds a master's degree in business and a bachelor's degree in human resources from Boise State University. And Maya is now the school manager at the Micron School of Material Science and Engineering at Boise State University. Thanks, Maya. So this program is really designed to help share our members' stories and their origin and the people behind them. So why don't we start out with you, Carol? Why don't you give us a quick background of you and how and why you created this organization?
Okay, well, it was as part of teaching history, at which I retired in 2019. So I don't teach history now, but I was at a history conference representing Boise State University, and the executive director of Global Ties Arkansas talked to me and he said, Carol, Idaho's one of only 3 states that doesn't have a nonprofit that works with Global Ties US. It was then International Visitors. Anyway, slightly different name. And he said, why don't you start one? And so I went back and to Idaho and just looked into it. And it's really pretty easy to set up a nonprofit and to get it started. And I asked my friends to be on the board, and so we started very slowly. We would just have 2 or 3 visitors a year, and then our last big year was 2018, and we had in the mid 70s about 75 or so visitors. So we've really grown in our number of visitors, but of course for 2 years it's been all virtual, and so it's all on Zoom now. It is what it is. I've applied for 5 or 6 groups in May and June that they say will not be virtual, but a lot of them that they have said would be in person have ended up going to Zoom. So we'll see. We've got a group on Zoom next month that
Oh, okay.
they're going to study. Uh, oh, transparency in government. And so and I mean, I'm glad we still have groups that way. And the State Department has told a lot of these groups that have participated in the virtual that they will bring them to the US. So there's a chance we'll get to meet them if they go to the same cities that they visited virtually. But that's all in the future. We just have to get our infection rate down.
Right, right. Well, thank you, Carol, for that little update. Maya, how did you get involved and what's your role with Global Ties?
So, Carol actually brought a group of visitors to one of the events that I planned with another nonprofit that I'm involved with, the Bosnian and Herzegovinian Cultural Center of Idaho. So we were hosting Bosnian cooking classes through a grant that we got from the Boise City Arts and History Department. And actually, one of the program managers in Washington, D.C. found this somewhere on the internet that we were doing this and asked Carol to bring a group of individuals that were coming to Boise to, like Carol said, study refugee resettlement cities and how the organizations in Europe could do better with their refugee resettlement. And so since Boise is a refugee resettlement city, we have a lot of those kinds of programs, and our community has been good, just like getting that grant from the Arts and History Department. So they came into our class and experienced that, and we got to meet the group. And then after that, I talked to Carol and said, if there's any other way that I can be involved, let me know. And then she asked me to come and be on the board. So it's been a while now, almost 5 years, and we've just had a great time. I'm really passionate about individuals from different countries, being one myself. So I don't know, Paul, when you go travel somewhere, we were just talking about going to Maui. When you meet someone from that place and they show you around or they're kind to you, it just makes that trip so much better. So that's what I feel like my role is with the visitors when they come here is I make sure that they have the people-to-people connection. Carol really does a great job at making the appointments that they need to meet with the legislature and different people in town. But I consider my job more of the their experience here outside of the appointments. So we make sure, if they're missing an umbrella, we can give them one, or we make sure they just get to experience life as Americans do. And some of the stories that I hear from the visitors have just been amazing. Like one guy from Brazil came once, and he was saying, oh, before coming on this trip, I thought about the world as such a doom and gloom and everybody hates everyone. And then he said, I came on this trip, and usually they travel with people from different countries. This group was the really large one that we had, Carol, like the 25 people group. And he said, after meeting all these people, I see that, everyone, all of the people really just want the best for their families and best for their lives. And the governments are the ones, and the media make it sound like everybody hates everyone, but we all really want the same thing. So just gives perspective. So that's how I got involved.
That's awesome. And you guys have a really good website that describes something. And I pulled a video that will help kind of dive in a little bit deeper for our listeners today. Do you guys mind if I play that?
Oh, please do. Yes.
Okay. And I really like the part with Cherie Buckner Webb. She kind of brings it all together as well as the impact of Global Ties. So hang on for a second. I'll share that video. Here we go.
Yeah.
Connecting Idaho.
Connecting Idaho. Connecting Idaho with the world.
Connecting Idaho with the world.
One handshake at a time.
One handshake at a time.
Conectando Idaho.
Żąram Idaho.
Povezujemo Idaho s svijetom.
Zjednujemy Idaho. Connecting Idaho with the world.
One handshake at a time.
Global Ties Idaho.
My name is Maya Duratovich, and I am a Global Ties Idaho board member. Global Ties Idaho is about making people-to-people connections with leaders from around the world. Global Ties Idaho was founded in 2005, and we work with the U.S. State Department-funded International Visitor Leadership Program. Visitors come from around the world for 3 to 5 days to connect and share methods, skills, and talents with our homegrown leaders of Idaho. Apart from the professional meetings, we host them for dinner in someone's home. This is the activity that the visitors enjoy the most. There's just something special about discussing life over a meal. Sharing similarities and differences about your country and other countries usually brings us together to realize we all want the same thing: health and happiness for our families.
I'm Carol Schroeder, Executive Director of Global Ties Idaho. Global Ties Idaho hosts future leaders of countries who have been nominated by the U.S. ambassadors in those countries. And so we get to see them as they're up and coming before they are the presidents of the countries, the universities, the business leaders.
I can tell you when I met with folks, I just felt drawn to them. And I wish I had more time to be with them and just have dinner and get to know them.
So I believe that programs like Global Ties Idaho, where we bring the world to Idaho and Idaho to the world, these folks most of the time have never heard of Idaho, let alone considered coming here. And so getting them to step foot here puts us on a map as a state, as a city, and as a community.
We are not necessarily doing everything perfect either. So they have also an opportunity to give us their best practices, give us their best ideas.
Well, I think the greatest benefit is to us in Idaho. Global Ties is a fabulous resource for Boise, and we need to take greater advantage of that because we believe we are a world culture, but we need to test that belief system and learn more about others.
Global Ties Idaho allows for all the international community to come, to welcome them, but it also allows for the community in Boise, in Idaho, to learn and to really embrace the community that comes to Idaho. I believe it's about mutual understanding and mutual respect for that space, that bridge to be built. Let's say that we are that bridge.
To learn more about Global Ties Idaho, visit our website at globaltiesidaho.org.
What a great video you guys put together.
Yeah, thanks to Boost Media. They did a great job.
Yeah, we're really happy with Boost Media. And they took a lot of time with it. They probably had 3 times that much film, and they winnowed it down. So,
Well, and that really helped me understand what Global Ties' impact is on the community. So, Carol, can you expand a little bit more on that impact? You had mentioned in that video that it's leaders from other countries that have been selected by the embassy in those countries to take this trip and to experience other cultures. And and I guess Idaho is one of the newest ones from the last, since 2005. So tell us a little bit more about that impact.
yes, I think it's really impactful both on the community and on the visitors. When the ambassadors speak to us at the national conferences, they say that everybody in the embassy usually has an opinion of who should be nominated. No one can apply to be a visitor. They have to be nominated by the embassy. And so they described it as actual bloodletting during the discussion. This person, no, this person. And they're trying to pick the ones who will be the next presidents, the next leaders of that country, because it's just so important to have good relationships with leaders and with everyone else. And so once the ambassadors decide and they come up with their list of how many, some are allowed many nominations, some only 1 or 2. It depends. The State Department sets that up, and then the State Department vets them and makes sure they're safe and everything. And they always spend 5 days at least in Washington D.C. And so they go around and learn about federalism. And then there are 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 other stops on their visit. And Boise's one of the small city stops. They're in Miami, New York City, Boston, that sort of thing. So we're the small city, and so it's so many times what they say is, Boise reminds me of home. Most of them don't live in gigantic cities like they're visiting in the US. So many are come from small communities, or at least grew up in smaller communities. And so they'll say, this reminds me of home. And you look at impact. We our last big year, we had 371 hotel days in 1 year. So that's a lot of hotel rooms because they're here 3 or 4 days. They also have interpreters if they don't speak English. They always have a liaison or two. So it's quite a number of people coming to Idaho, eating here, staying here, learning about Idaho and learning about America, really. And so many tell us that this is their favorite stop. Now, maybe they say that everywhere, but they do say it here too. And
It's true.
I always
It's
tend
true.
to believe them. Yes.
Maya, what would you add
I,
on that?
one of my friends asked recently, she's talking to me as, a refugee from Bosnia, and she says, the United States is giving money to these countries, for their wars, and right now with our southern border and everything else. So what other things do you think the United States could be doing? And, I mentioned this program, and not a lot of our citizens know that our tax dollars cover these kinds of programs, that these kinds of programs are really important. They're the things that, like Carol said, let these people see the United States as um, as a people, and not just as our government and as our leaders. So once those leaders that come here become presidents of their countries, they have a more favorable view of the United States after they've been here and seen what it's like to live here and met Americans that have been nice to them. So it's just, the impact is just immense, and it just saddens me so much that a lot of people don't know about what we do, and I just want so many people to be involved and just hear about Global Ties Idaho.
There is one thing that's on your website, and it talks about the impact. And there was one number that stood out to me. It was 246 volunteers that it takes to, maybe house or tell me more about how our community can help Global Ties Idaho as volunteers.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. I think just like I said, when you think about traveling to another country and think about yourself and your experiences, and the best experiences you've ever had was meeting with people from there, that tells you everything. That's what we would like people in Idaho to do. So one of the things that we do is welcome them at the airport, help them with their bags, and help them get to the hotel that they're staying at in Boise. In Boise, that's so easy to do. Everybody lives 30 minutes away from the airport at the most. And so that's just an easy thing to do, to meet them. A lot of times they're really jet lagged and don't really interact much there, but it makes them feel like they've come to a welcoming place. And then after that, we set about 3 appointments for them during the day. So we have plenty of time to meet with them for dinner, meet with them for coffee in between those appointments. You can host them at your house for dinner. That's a little bit more involved, and we wet those people a little bit more, talk to those people a little bit more to tell them a little bit what to expect. But another really fun thing to do is, if they're here on the weekends, and a lot of times they are here on the weekend, we like to take them out to some of our surrounding communities. And so if you'd like to spend a little bit more time, we've taken them snowshoeing. We've gone to Bogus Basin, Idaho City, just different places in town. And if there's like a festival that's going on, just spending time with them and telling them about us is what we like to do.
Well, Carol, can you expand on that a little bit, or what would you like to add to that on the volunteerism piece?
Well, Maya is really good at this. She does all of our Facebook and social media, and so I always delegate that to her because she's our good contact person. And yes, absolutely, we're always happy to have volunteers. And I don't know, it's just such a first-rate program, and I feel like we're really fortunate to be in the community we're in and to have the quality of people that we have dealing with us on this.
So
yeah, to add to that is also people that would like to meet with the visitors. So we always ask for people to meet in the industries that they're in. So leaders, in the community, we would love to have them be the ones to meet with the leaders from around the world.
Hey, what time of the year do you have visitors? Is it all the time? Is it just in the summer? Tell me about when your high tide activity is.
Good times, it's year round. Uh, right now, for 2 years, it's all Zoom, of course. But when we're up and running in normal times, it's year round. Usually December. We don't. They seem to shy away from Christmas. So between Thanksgiving and Christmas, not many at all. And then also a lot of the communities during that time, the airplanes, you're not that sure you're able to land, and so there's usually more starting in maybe January, February, and summer's been pretty heavy, I guess, as you think about it. But it's yeah, I would say just between Thanksgiving and Christmas, not nearly as many.
Okay. Hey, is there anything else? We're about to wrap up our episode today. What else would you want to educate listeners on about Global Ties Idaho in the next couple of minutes? And we'll start out with you, Maya.
You can go out to our website, globaltiesidaho.org, and see Get Involved form. Fill that out, and we'll get back to you and hopefully meet our visitors in the future when they come in person.
Where this is a U.S. State Department program that started in 1939. There've been a lot of years for this program to be up and running, and just almost 200 people have become presidents, literally presidents of their country, since 1939, and they have visited the U.S. under the auspices of this program. So, on a national scale, it's been extremely successful, and they have a better attitude toward us because they know our citizens, they know our individuals, they've been here, and then they're president of their country.
Well, I would encourage anyone who's listening that wants to get involved and greet some of these international leaders, as well as businesses. I bet you there's some synergy there from these international visitors to take some best practices back with them and share some best practices from themselves as well. Carol and Maya, thank you so much for taking some time with me to share more about your organization. I know I learned a lot, and I know that the listeners today have learned a lot more as well. So thank you for your membership, Carol and Maya, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Paul. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Over and out.